Hello and welcome to another Debugging session. How about that? How about that? Hello, Johnny Most. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today is Monday, and today I want you to continue to work on my immediate terminal UI experiments in the form of an interactive terminal to do app. So today I want you to continue developing terminal to do app in Rust, and you can find the source code of this thing in the description if you're interested in this thing. So this is going to be source code, and the previous episode of this series was on YouTube. Sermon, hi Sermon, how are you doing? So let's actually go to Debugging Daily and let's find the previous episode. Let's see if we can spot. I can already see the previous episode. Here it is. So in the previous episode, we implemented two-panel interface for the application, and let me demonstrate you. So previous episode is going to be located in here. So I think I already fetched everything. So let's see. So if I run this entire thing, so it also requires the file into which it stores everything, and as you can see here is the two-panel interface. So maybe it would make sense to actually reset everything hard, yeah, there we go. So here you can basically mark something as done, or if you're unsure, you can actually go in here and mark something as not really done, right? So as you can see, you have two-panel interface, and you can switch between the two panels. So that's what we implemented on the previous stream. So today I want you to do something interesting, and I want you to implement the ability to add new items to the to-do list and also edit the items. So I think I want to start with editing the items, because that will make adding new items trivial, right? So as soon as you can edit the current item, for instance, I didn't want to start Emacs, just a second. Right, so for instance, I can edit something by pressing some key. The implementation of adding a new thing would be essentially adding an empty item and switching to editing of that item. So yeah, I think editing items has priority over adding them. So that's precisely what we're gonna do right now. So hello everyone who just joined. Welcome. Is this a Rust channel now? No, yesterday we did C++, and the day before that we did something else. You just don't watch this channel unless I'm doing Rust, so that's why you're being biased about that. So it's actually very interesting. Like, people tend to be extremely biased towards they like, right? So for instance, there's a huge portion of people who never watch me unless I do C. Right, and there's also a portion of people who never watch me unless I do JavaScript. Or there's a portion of people like you who never watch me unless I do Rust. So for you, I'm a Rust developer. For other people, I'm a C developer, right? And like, you know, for different people, whatever fits their agenda, I'm that developer. So no, this is not a Rust channel. It's just like you watch me only when I do Rust. All right, so let's continue. What I want you to do here. So let's create a separate branch for this entire thing, and let's see how we're gonna approach this stuff. So I suppose, I think I want you to introduce a special mode, like editing mode. Maybe not even an editing mode, but rather like Boolean, sort of speak, like editing, right? So initially we're not in the editing mode, but then by pressing a specific key, you switch to the editing mode, and while sort of handling a specific list, if you're in editing mode, you're going to be editing the one that is currently selected in there. So, but I think it's going to be rather difficult, because as you can see, we're handling the keys from the user input, and if you are in the editing mode, these keys has to be redirected to the sort of like the editor that's going to be activated when you are in the editor mode. So I think I want to do a rather interesting thing, or sort of like more in the immediate UI style thing. Again, for those who doesn't know what is immediate UI, it's something similar to IMGUI, right? So if you worked with IMGUI, that's essentially what we're trying to implement, but for the terminal in Rust. So I'm gonna put this thing in the chat and in the description as well. Right. So IMGUI, right? So, but the interesting thing about terminal is that in the terminal, you cannot use the same approaches as in graphics, right? So the approach of IMGUI doesn't really work there, so we sort of have to reinvent our own approach. And to know what's the approach is used by IMGUI, I really recommend to watch the Cases Moratorium talk on immediate UIs. So I'm gonna give the link to that talk in the chat and also in the description if you're interested in this kind of stuff. So here is the talk, and I'm gonna put it in the description. So it's a Cases Moratorium talk on immediate mode UIs. It's a very interesting talk. It's like 40 minutes long, but it explains the concept of immediate UI really well. So the main idea is that you have sort of like hot widgets and active widgets. But what's interesting is that this idea of hot and active widgets doesn't really work in the terminal. So the only place it works at is when you have a mouse cursor and you can instantly focus on anything on the screen. Here, you cannot easily instantly focus on anything on the screen, so you have to sort of like I don't know, navigate through the widgets, right? And some of the widgets are navigatable, some of them are not navigatable. For instance, I have to navigate to a corresponding panel, and then when I have editing mode, I have to enter into editing mode, but I actually entered editing mode inside of the left panel. But what if I'm on the right panel? What if I want to edit something on the right panel? So as you can see, I have an editing mode on the left panel and I have an editing mode on the right panel. So there's a lot of combinatorial complexity here, like in place, and you sort of need like some sort of like a stack of the active items, and as you navigate further down in the tree, you sort of grow that stack or something like that. At least that's what it starts to feel like, and because of that, the original approach that Casey Moratori explained in his talk is not really applicable to the terminal UIs, but maybe terminal UIs is a completely different beast. So I don't know. It is what it is, and that's precisely what I'm trying to explore in here. I'm trying to explore how to apply the immediate UI ideas to the terminal, right? To the terminal. So for those who wondering what I'm doing, so I don't know for how long you've been watching me, but for people like you, I have a command called project, or you can do a today command, and it will give you a brief description of what precisely we're doing and a link to the source code of the projects we're working on. There's no need to ask me that, just do a today command or project command and you'll get the link to the project that we're currently working on. Hello everyone, hello Rotten Chancer, hello Hertz and Pots, hello, how are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So will you redraw the entire UI every frame? Believe it or not, I already do. The entire UI right now, right here, is redrawn every frame. It is. This is precisely how it works right now. I not just will, I already do. So, yeah. Jack says 666, thank you so much for tier 1 subscription. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to our epic immediate UI club. Trollflix, hello. So, hello, Jacksai. Hello. Thank you so much for this subscription. All right. So, one of the things I want to do, I want to slightly refactor the way we handle the input of the user. So, let me see how we're going to do that. So I suppose I'm gonna remove this entire thing and so as you can see here, we are handling the key, right? And then we have a huge dispatch between different keys, and depending on the current mode, we basically modify the state of a particular widget. So I think this is not particularly great for what we're trying to do. I think this kind of input handling has to be done in place of rendering. So you see, I'm still trying to separate sort of rendering of the UI and updating the state of the UI, but in fact, in case of immediate UI, it has to happen at the same place. And that's why it's kind of difficult for me to introduce editing mode, right, because these kind of things are not inseparable. So I have an idea. We're going to have a special variable called key, right? So here's a special variable called key, and by default it doesn't have anything, right? And in here, instead of this huge switch case, when we get a key and it's not equal to error, we're going to be actually assigning that key to the current key. Yeah, so I need to rename this entire thing to something else, I suppose. So I don't even know how to call that. Maybe this one is going to be called key current, right? So key current, and here we're going to do something like this. Current is going to be some key. There we go. So, and this entire thing is going to go away. At least it's going to be moved to corresponding places, right? It's going to be moved to corresponding places. So for instance, before trying to handle anything, right, we can do something like if, something like some key current is equal to Q, right? If it's equal to Q, we'll have to quit, right? I'm gonna instantaneously like set quit to true, and maybe also clear the entire thing, but maybe not. It actually depends on whether we are in the editing mode or not in the editing mode. But since we didn't introduce the editing mode yet, it doesn't really matter. Right, so, and because of that, I want to actually map this entire thing to something like this. So as U8 as character, and then we're going to compare it to Q. And then, so basically handling a key at a particular place essentially consumes the key, right? So, and after that, I want to just set it to none, right? See, if a particular place consumed the key, the next place down the road cannot consume it anymore. So whoever consumed it first gets to consume it, right? So yeah, that's basically what we have in here. All right. So that's what we're doing in here. So this is going to be cargo build. Hello, Dead Marshall, opt-in, priceless talk. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? All right, so this entire thing seems to be compiling, and let's try to run it. And right now, I cannot control thing anymore because I just removed that huge switch case, but I should be able to do Q. And I can't queue anymore. I wonder why though. I wonder why. So if it's not equal to that, I set this thing to current queue, but it didn't handle anything anywhere, which is rather strange. So then it goes in there. True. To be fair, I don't understand why it doesn't work. So does it even register anything? So if I, for instance, register something in here, can I simply do something like to-do's? I think it's to-do's, push. Format, and we're gonna set the key in here, right? So we have to take the pointer to this entire thing, and let's rebuild this entire stuff and see how it goes. So so this one has to be a string, right? Because it constructs a new string, and yeah, okay, so it sets the -1 in there. Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. You actually have to do that in here. Oh, all right. So, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so I just need to focus. I just need to focus on what I'm doing. All right, so, and I can quit everything. And also I need to actually get rid of this thing. Yeah, so I cannot control anything, but at least I can quit. Right, there we go, that's perfect. What's interesting is that at the end of the frame, if nobody consumed a key, maybe we can simply drop that key. Right, so maybe we can simply drop that key. So we're gonna set it to none. Why Rust has this exclamation mark? They're macros as far as I know. Macros. So essentially they're not functions, first of all. There's something that expands to more code. They're like, it's actually slightly incorrect to compare them to C macros because they expand on the level of AST. C macros expand on the level of some people would say source code, which is technically correct, but in fact it expands on the level of the tokens, right? It's not just copy-pasting text, it's on the level of specific tokens, right? Right. In case of Rust, I think it's on the level of AST. So it's not a function, it expands according to particular macro rules, right? So it's not really a function. All right, so we removed the key, and yeah, as I already mentioned, I think we need to start handling this kind of stuff in place, right? So essentially, if the current panel is to do, I'm gonna render a panel in a particular fashion. If it's not current panel, I'm gonna render it completely differently. So I think this entire code in here, this chunk of code, has to be rewritten. There will be a little bit of duplication between left panel and right panel, but that's precisely what I want to do. I want to see the duplication, and which will make it more obvious for us to how compress that duplication and factor it out. All right, so if the current panel is equal to status to do, right, we're gonna be doing something like this. I think I'm gonna actually put this stuff like that. So first of all, I need to render UI label with a fixed width, and I want to render to do half of the screen, and I'm gonna be highlighting that specific thing. There we go. So basically I'm moving these two conditions outside, right? You see this condition is inside of the call, I want to sort of move it outside. All right, so, and then I want to enumerate this entire thing. So I'm going to go into the index to do, in to do's iterate, then enumerate. And in here I'm simply rendering a label fixed width, format, so it's going to be to do, and half of the width, and we're going to use either a regular or highlighted color depending on what's the current index, right? So we can move it like this. If index equal to the current index, right? If it's equal to the current index, we're going to be using the highlighted color. Otherwise, we're going to use the regular color. So it's going to be a regular color. Right, there we go. So, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, and here's the interesting part, otherwise we're going to do pretty much the same. I'm copy-pasting the code. Absolutely fucking horrible, I know, thank you very much. So I think I forgot to copy paste this thing, but in here we're going to be using the regular pair, right? And in here we're always going to be using the regular pair no matter what. So it's going to be a regular pair. Why is it called regular pair? I don't know. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So this is basically what's happening when the to-do is active, and when and this is what happens when to-do panel is inactive, right? Okay, so, and let's remove the rest of the stuff. Let's remove the rest of the stuff. All right, so here's the vertical one, and depending on the stuff, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Let's see if this entire stuff compiles. So maybe I'm gonna actually put the space in here. Okay, so none. I expected either to, because I have to set actually key current. I have to say key current. All right. So let's see if this entire thing works. Okay, so it's still working. As you can see, this thing is actually active, and I really like that. All right, so we need to repeat the same process for the right panel, right? So might as well actually copy paste this entire thing, right? Let's just copy paste this entire thing. So this is the right panel, and the thing about right panel is that it just has done. Instead of this thing is essentially crossed out, and this one is done. There we go. So yeah, so I really like how it looks like. Look, so here is the whole UI. This is how the whole UI looks like, right? So here is the left panel, and here is the right panel. Here's how the panel looks like when it's activated. Here's how it looks like when it's deactivated. Here's how right panel looks like when it's activated. Here's how left or right panel looks like when it's deactivated. You see, it's actually like describing the UI tree, but directly in the code, and that code immediately renders it and immediately handles it. So that's what makes this entire approach really, really interesting, because you don't have a duplication between the code and the data, right? Because the code and the data become like sort of the one thing. So the code itself is the UI tree. So it's really, really interesting, and I wonder like why people don't use this kind of stuff more, right? So it's like, but to be fair, in all fairness, it's not really obvious approach. It is really not obvious approach, because I don't know why, to be fair, why it is not obvious. Maybe because of how the programming is taught, but I don't know. Do you plan to make that to-do app work with apt install only? I don't plan to use this to-do app for anything. Please read the README. This is meant to be an experimental playground for testing ideas for immediate TUI. Right. If you don't know what is immediate UI, check out first of all, IMGUI. I already explained it at the beginning of the stream. Check out IMGUI and check out Casey's Moratory talk on immediate UIs. What I'm doing right now, I'm experimenting with immediate UI approach, but for the terminal. That's what I'm doing. So this application is experimental playground, right? So yeah. I'm just exploring how to do this kind of stuff, but for the terminal, because people explore that how to do this kind of stuff for the GUI quite a lot, but I didn't see people doing that for the terminal very often. Maybe somebody does that. I don't know. Never heard of that. Yeah, I also I heard about it like a couple of years ago, I think. And I basically brushed it off. I didn't really look into it that much, but recently I decided to just take a look into it, and it's actually really fascinating because it is really not obvious approach, but at the same time, it is very powerful. And the reason why it's not obvious because it looks really messy at first, right? If you look at this approach, you would see, what the fuck is, who writes UI like that? But then as you try to implement your own immediate UI, and as you encounter some problems with other UI frameworks, you start to realize, oh, that's actually very convenient. It actually solves a lot of problems that I had with other retained mode UIs. And in here, you don't really have the whole class of problems that the classical UIs have. And it's just wow, that's very interesting. So yeah, I really recommend to look into the immediate UI approaches. So, and every time you experiment with something, people usually do a to-do app, and I decided to, let's make a to-do app. Have you used Win32 GUI API? Yes, I did when I was a student, really long time ago, so I haven't touched Win API for quite some time already. Alright, so let's continue. So what do we have in here? We have a left and right panel, right? So, okay, so, okay, this one is very interesting. So that means I need to change this thing to done, right? Because, yeah. All right, so looks good to me. Looks good to me. Okay, now, I basically need to copy paste this entire thing to each and individual part in here. So if to do is activated, I will try to consume the current key and do some things, right? So let's see how we can do all of that. So, but what's interesting in this particular case is that since I know for a fact that I'm inside of to do, I don't need to match the panel here anymore. You see, I already checked it here. So basically we're taking this consolidating huge match and we're spreading it across the rendering of UI, and because of that, match becomes like simpler, right? Because we don't need to do this kind of stuff anymore. What we can do is just like simply do that, but for the to-do. There you go. And each individual branch can be actually compressed into a single thing. So yeah, let's see how we can do this. Yep. That's actually pretty cool. Huh. All right. So, and of course some of these things can be moved into a separate functions and whatnot. Maybe it's going to be like a single function that accepts these two things and a current key, and we can call this function something like a panel control or whatever, right? And then we can reuse that function for both left and right panel, but that's beside the point. For now, yet again, I want to copy paste as much as possible to make the patterns that we can compress later more visible. Right, because it's kind of like a waste of time to try to compress and refactor things as soon as possible because you don't have enough information on how to refactor things. I keep repeating that over and over again. It seems like people don't understand that, right? Every time people see my code, their immediate reaction is that, oh my god, there's so much duplication, we need to refactor to make... No. Refactor. If you refactor too early, you may actually miss very important patterns. Right, as you refactor, the more you refactor, the less you can do the refactoring. It's like optimizations, right? People who wrote optimizations for the compilers, they know really, really well. The more you apply optimization, the less you can apply other optimizations. Yes, so this is the problem that the compiler developers have to deal like every fucking day. So they have a bunch of optimizations. Applying one optimization actually removes another optimization. And what sequence of optimizations we need to apply? And there's like very complicated algorithms that take all of the optimizations and try to apply it and see which code produces the optimal ones. There's the idea of using artificial intelligence on applying different optimizations. It's a mess. It's the same thing here. The more you compress, the more you refactor things, the less you can compress and refactor things, right? So you need to sort of develop an intuition at which point you need to factor out the duplication, right? So you need to let the duplication grow up until some point where interesting patterns start to emerge, and only then you can actually extract it out. I cannot give you any specific tip on that. It's sort of like an intuition. And I do realize that explaining all of that is completely pointless because in 2 days somebody is going to ask about it yet again. Right, so... anyways. It's like something that I keep explaining over and over and over again, and people always, oh, there's so much duplicate. Maybe I should make a video about that. I don't know. It's just like, how long I have to explain that over and over again? Oh, by the way, premature optimization is root of all evil is one of these phrases that people like to throw around regardless of the context, and yet nobody remembers in which context it was actually said. So, to be fair, it's like this phrase is beaten to such an extent that it's basically meaningless of combination of words, because we don't even remember what Knut actually meant by that phrase. Like, what the fuck did he say? There's so many articles written about that phrase saying, no, he actually meant that. No, he actually meant that. It's like, it's a fucking dead horse. Stop beating me. All right, so let's continue. So here we have that, and yeah, we don't have to handle the queue, right? And yeah, this is the very interesting thing. When you press enter, you transfer in this thing, and there we go. And when I press tab, I actually switch the panel, and otherwise we're actually doing nothing. All right, right. So this is basically the thingy. All right. So now I should be able to control the left panel, right? I should be able to control the left panel. But this one is very interesting. So can I do something like, well, technically I can try to do key current map like this, and then I'll have to be forced to sort of wrap all of these things in some, right, and it's gonna be something like that. All right, so there we go. Though, if we had a key in here, do we want to be able to consume? I think, yeah, I think we want to be able to consume it. So I suppose I'm gonna do the following thing. I'm gonna match the key current, right? It's gonna be key current, and if it has something in there, all right. By the way, does the option have a particular way to just take a value out of it in a mutable way, not immutable one, but in a mutable one? So let me see. Does option have anything useful for that? Insert, you can insert. Insert sounds interesting. It's actually opposite of take. So is there a take? Oh, there is a take. Okay, it's literally called like that. Perfect. Okay, so oh wait. Maybe there is a get. No, it's useless. Get or insert. Well, I mean, I probably can do something like if let some key equal to that thing, and then we can convert it like that. And yeah, essentially after that I can say that key current is going to be key. There we go. Cyclic type of infinite size. I actually went to none, to do none. Alright, so that's good. And if I try to... Oh, wait, this shit doesn't work for some reason. Okay. Nothing is working, surprisingly. Huh. So why did it stop working, precisely? Did I make some changes that actually made it stop working? Because I'm handling Q in here. And if I press Q, it should just work. Did I... How did it stop working? Excuse me. So that's really weird. Wait, reading programming books, so much water, tutorials for babies. Yeah, books are useless at some point. I missed something very, very stupid yet again. But the question is, what precisely did I miss? Right. Oh yeah, I see. I'm an idiot. Right. Because we're essentially getting the key, but we're handing the key on the next... Okay, I see. I see. If nobody handled that key, well, I guess it's gonna stay there. Yeah. At least for now. Right. So, and then here, as you can see, I can finally control the left panel. Right, and I can switch to the right panel, but I cannot switch back because the right panel doesn't even do anything. Right, so we need to basically copy this logic back to the right panel. Right. We need to copy it back to the right panel, and so in the right panel we're only going to handle this kind of stuff when the right panel is active. Right, so that means I need to put it in here, and Here, essentially, I'm gonna do to do, but replace it with done. Gia, what's up? Hi. How are you doing? How are you doing? So, and in here, I actually need to do this kind of thing. Not done yet. So this is going to be this thing. Right, list transfer, done. So the destination has to be to-dos, but the thing has to be done's. And yeah, that's actually precisely what I wanted to do in here. I guess that's it, right? So essentially we took this huge switch case and spread it across the entire event loop, right? So that's precisely what I wanted to do in here, I think. Right. Okay, does it compile? Does it still compile? Okay, so when the elements are inactive, by the way, we don't really care about their indices, which actually makes it easier for us to iterate them, right? So essentially you start this thing, you just iterate it, and that's precisely it. And the same goes for the to-do, so for the done, I mean. So we don't need to enumerate anything in here, right? And so this one has to be query replace to do with done. I could do hello, welcome to the stream. Okay. All right, so let's try to recompile this entire thing and see if it's working. So, okay, as far as I can see, we don't have any warnings in here, and yep. Oh, that's very interesting. All right, so you see what's going on here? It tries to render done as to-dos when you switch to, yeah. So that's what copy paste does to you. So when this thing is active, yeah, I'm iterating to do, so I need to actually do it like that. So I need to query replace done with actually the other way around, to do to done, to do to done, and let's try to do it one more time. Yep. So everything seems to be working. All right, everything seems to be working. Okay, so I did a refactoring. So now all of that stuff is handled immediately. All of that stuff is handled immediately. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We might as well actually first handle the keys and then render the thing, but I'm not sure. Hello, Orphan. Welcome to the stream. So that means I can finally get rid of this entire thing. So I'm just a junior copy paster. No, I'm a senior clown on the internet. I'm really proficient in clowning on the internet. So that's who I am. That's what I be. No, you know what I'm talking about. Clowning executive officer, yes. That's me, that's really me. Hello, Trusticos. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Look at that code. Look at that code. Oh no. So yeah, so far so good. So far so good. I really like how this kind of stuff is just like localized in places where it needs to be localized. Okay. So might as well run this entire thing. I just want to test things one more time. And can I delete things? I can. Maybe when I delete something, it would also make sense to say in a notification. You see, like here we have a thing. Let me actually go here and restore the to-do. Chat, look. When you actually mark something as done, it says done in here. But then if you're not sure if something is done, you can move it back and it says no, not done yet. So we have a notification system that allows you to put messages in there when you do particular actions, which is pretty cool. So maybe when you delete delete an item, we can say something. Oh, here's the interesting thing. For instance, now I can forbid deletion of the items in a to-do list, right? So right now, you can delete an item from to-do, but I think it's kind of like not the correct way to do that, right? So let's actually first force the user to move the thing into done, and only then you will be able to delete it. I think it's an interesting idea, right? So I cannot delete things from to do. I have to mark it as done, and only then inside of the done I can delete it. I guess it makes sense, right? So you cannot delete a thing in here. So, and when you delete, we can say something, right? We can say something. For instance, notification. How do we set notifications? I don't even know. We just usually push str, I suppose, right? So it's going to be push str into the abyss, right? So every time you delete a thing, it will tell you into the abyss, right? So done. Something is not done yet, and this one is essentially into the abyss, right? And there we go. So that's pretty cool. So, and all of that is really relatively convenient to actually code, right? You code that in a place where you actually care about this kind of stuff. I really like that. I really, really like that. Okay, so, and let's do a committee, and maybe even a pushy. Smear the control switch case across the entire loop. So that's literally the commit message, right? This is literally the commit message. All right, so that's precisely what we did. So that's precisely what we did. That's precisely what we did. Random singing, Pepper Pains, by the way. So the next thing we need to do, we need to introduce a way to actually edit the current things, right? We need to edit the current things. So I suppose we're going to have a special Boolean variable, right? So editing, which initially is going to be false, but if you, for instance, in a to-do setting, right, and you press something like I, you're gonna switch into the editing mode, right? So it's gonna be something like editing, and it's gonna become true. And if you are in the editing mode, this kind of stuff is gonna render slightly differently. All right, so let me actually see. So if this is the current element, if index is that, right, if index is that, we have to render this thing with the highlighted stuff, right? So this is going to be a highlighted thing. Yep. Right. So otherwise, this is not going to be a highlighted thing. Regular. All right. But if it's a current thing and we're currently in an editing mode, right, we have to actually render it as an editor of some sort. Right. So this one is going to be to do, right? So this thing is not implemented. This is going to be to do. And if you are in editing mode, I suppose you need to actually handle these things slightly differently. So I'm thinking only if you're not in editing mode, you're going to try to handle this stuff around in here. Yeah, there we go. Something like this, and we need to put something in here, right? So if you're editing, yeah, not quite sure. So maybe the UI is going to have a special method that will basically render render this thing as an editor. How do you manage so many programming languages? It's answered in FAQ. It is in fact answered in FAQ. Believe it or not, here's your answer. Look down there, down there. Well, it's not precisely, but I mean, how many languages do you know? The answer is very simple. I don't need to know any. I just copy paste code from the Stack Overflow. Yeah, that's your answer. You just have to read carefully. All of the answers you guys have are answered in FAQ. I mean, questions, all of the questions, not the answers, but maybe answers as well. So yeah, everything is answered. Like, I mean, just go into FAQ, it's there. I'm maintaining everything just for you. No need to ask anything. I did read that, but I mean, that's the answer. It's a good answer whether you like it or not. It's true. You may not like it, but it's a true answer. That's the reality we live in. I'm really sorry to tell you, but nobody knows shit in 2021. Nobody knows how to program, okay? Everyone copy paste from Stack Overflow. Then that's how I know all of that. I just copy paste shit from Stack Overflow. I know it's a little bit embarrassing for some people to admit, but I don't give a shit, right? So yeah, I copy paste shit from Stack Overflow. I don't know anything, yeah, don't worry about it. I copy paste from Experts Exchange. But who pastes this shit to Stack Overflow? It's also copy pasted from Stack Overflow. One FAQ is missing. What do you think of PHP? Do you know what FAQ stands for? Do you know what FAQ stands for? It's abbreviation, by the way. Not everybody knows, but it's an abbreviation. It stands for frequently asked questions. How to tell you? So essentially, if you don't see your question in FAQ, I have a really bad news for you. Sorry. It's just like, no offense. No offense, sorry. So now, when we are in editing mode, on top of that, I think I also need to keep track of some sort of like a editing cursor, right? So this is going to be editing a cursor, right? So, and that cursor is going to maintain the position of the cursor as we edit things around. And as I switch to the editing mode, right? As I switch to the editing mode, I think I'm going to also set the editing cursor to 0, right? To indicate that we're starting. Maybe not 0, but let's put 0 for now. We'll see how it goes in the future. So, and now, yeah, what I wanted to introduce in here is the editor field. So edit field, right? So this is going to be edit field, and this thing is going to be mutable. And here, this thing is slightly different. So when you render a label, right, when you render the text, right, we just provide the slice of the string. But here we'll have to provide the buffer as a mutable string, right, because the edit field is going to modify the field. So now I also need to provide the cursor, right, so which is a mutable pointer to the cursor, which is also going to be updated. And do we need to provide anything else? I'm not quite sure. Maybe we should provide the key, right? So we need to provide key. I think it's like I32, right? Because depending on the key, this entire thing is going to do different things, right? So if you pressed ASCII keys, they're going to be inserted into the current cursor. If you pressed arrows, it's going to update the cursor and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think it would make sense. So this is going to be a to-do, right? And now, when the to-do is active, we're rendering the to-do, we found the current index and we are in editing mode. What we have to do here, in fact, is UI edit field, and let's actually put this entire thing here, right? So this is going to be edit field. Right, like this. You don't need that stuff anymore, and we need to grab the buffer from somewhere. Right, we need to grab the buffer from somewhere. So I don't know where to get it from, but we can do something like this. So it's going to be editing cursor, and then the key. So the buffer has to be the current element. We have the current element in here, but the iter, as far as I know, returns immutable thing. So maybe there's something like iter mute. Let me actually go to the vector. So it's going to be iter. It's actually maybe it's a part of a slice. I think it's a part of a slice. Yeah, it's a part of a slice, and there should be iter mute. There we go. And the item is okay. That makes sense. So let's do iter mute. All right, so that means I can provide this thing like so. There we go. So then the editing cursor, but the key, the current key, can be actually none. So maybe we should allow the edit field to be option, right? So because it might be missing because the user didn't press anything yet. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's put it like that. And this is going to be key current. And that's going to be the implementation. Look at that. So we have several situations where the element is current, and if we're in editing mode, we're editing that element. If we're not, we're just highlighting it. And if it's not a current element, we don't do anything with it. So that's the entire logic. And if we are not in editing mode, we're handling these keys. To be fair, you know what? What if the edit field consumes the key? Holy shit, that's a cool idea. So what if the edit field consumes the key? So that means this has to be a mutable thing in here, right? It consumes the key, and because of that, I never have to do this kind of shit anymore, because you never have a key, right? So because it was consumed before, and the only reason why it wouldn't be consumed is because nobody ever called edit field, so nobody consumed it. This is actually genius. Oh my god, this makes it so much simpler. Holy shit. Like, this immediate approach keeps on giving, actually. It keeps simplifying things, yeah. So it just consumed. Like, you don't have to worry about this shit anymore. The only problem here is that, like, how do we handle queue and whatnot? We can actually handle queue after the entire application. Okay, so the entire application did its thing, right? Some of the things got consumed, and if at the end of the application, nothing was consumed, only then we can check for the queue. Okay, so it's quite important because the edit field wanna be able to handle the queue, right? Because maybe the queue is something that you want to type into the element, right? So we do the entire rendering. If nothing got consumed through the entire rendering, okay, we can take a look at the queue. Okay, it's queue and we quit. So makes sense to me. Definitely makes sense to me. All right. It's actually pretty cool. I really like that. So I don't have to check anything for editing. It's just like makes everything simpler. God damn. God fucking damn it. I like simple things. What do you guys think? Do you guys like simple things, or you like overcomplicated things, like with shit ton of traits and lifetimes and stuff like that? What kind of stuff do you like? Simple feels good. Simple. Cheers, by the way. Like it's simple as dimple. Haha. Very funny. Okay, so this one has to be like a mutable current key. Alright, so we have unused stuff in here, so all of that is just unused fields, and now we need to implement all of this stuff. We need to implement all this stuff. How are we going to be implementing all this stuff? That's a good question. That's a good question. Also, we need to be able to get out of the edit mode, if you know what I'm talking about. We also need to be able to do that. And the question is how we're going to be doing that. So I think before trying to do this kind of stuff, I still want to have something like take. But take in Rust is not precisely doing what I want to do. So let me see what it's doing in there. Hello Ken Fool, welcome to the stream. Hello Party Deep, welcome. How are you guys doing? So let me take a look. So it is okay, so that means actually, so we have a mutable x. Okay, so maybe that's precisely what I want to use in here. Yeah. All right, so maybe that makes sense. So I can do if let sum. Right, so it's going to be key current, but I have to actually take it, right? So I want to only check, but I don't want to consume. I really don't want to consume this kind of stuff. So we can take this thing, and I'm gonna just do x as u8 as character. And if this entire thing is equal to the new line, right, if it's equal to the new line, I'm switching out of the editing mode, right, I'm just doing something like false. To be fair, maybe edit field is not going to consume this thing, right, maybe edit field is not going to consume this thing, so because of that we'll be able to do it like that. So that means I want to take this entire thing, then map it, and then set the editing to false, and on the next frame is going to be updated properly. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So here's the edit field. We edit into do, then the cursor, then the current, and if we still have something unconsumed here and that something is enter, we get out of the editing mode and continue with our day. All right, oh my god, it's so beautiful. All right, so the buffer, okay, so let me actually mark these things as unused because they're getting really annoying. I'm surprised this shit compiles. I'm really surprised this shit compiles. So, all right, and now let me try to do something like this. I'm gonna render self label with fixed width. To be fair, I think I want to be able to provide the width here as well. So let's put it like this. It's going to be width I32. All right, and this is how we're going to be doing all of that. The text is going to be essentially the buffer, right? So here is the buffer, the width is here, and the pair, we're going to use the regular pair, right? So here is the regular pair. That's pretty much it. Buffer, so this is the buffer cursor, we don't care about the cursor, and let's go through the compilation errors, and what do we have in here? So width is going to be a 2. All right, can I, by the way, do the following thing? So it's fine, I guess it's fine. Okay, so here's the thing. I can navigate around, and now if I press enter, we should go into the editing mode, which doesn't contain this prefix and it's not highlighted, right? And the reason why it looks like that is because it's not implemented yet. We are in editing mode for that specific thing, and as you can see, I cannot edit anything. I'm pressing all the keys, but if I press enter, it sort of gets committed, and now I can navigate around it again. So as you can see, I can enter the editing mode for any of these things, and it's so goddamn simple. Why is this so simple? Why nobody told me about this approach before? I know that it looks messy, but it's kind of the point. The messiness of this approach actually makes it simple because it's straightforward. Holy shit. The fuck? Ah, it's like you intentionally make it messy, and there's something interesting arises from the mess, and it's just like, eh? Am I being too like? It's kind of difficult to explain. Like, what the fuck? Huh. Once you abandon this idea of sort of preparing the UI tree and then giving that UI tree to some system and then callbacks, once you abandon that, you can actually come up with a better approach. This is so goddamn simple. The unexpected beauty in the mess. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's unexpected beauty in the mess. Okay. Maybe. I don't know how well this approach scales though. Maybe it works because the application is rather simple, but the amount of code I have to put in to get the result is astonishing. The ratio between effort and result is amazing actually. So the entire application can do a lot of things like move around, delete things, and then like switch to editor mode and so on and so forth. The entire code is only almost 500 lines of code, and it's actually, that's pretty much it. No frameworks except in cursors, but in cursors we're using just like move the cursor to X, Y, and put a character in there. That's the only thing we use in there. That's really strange. It's just like it's difficult for me to believe that it's that simple. All right, so maybe I'm gonna make a small break because I want to make a cup of tea. So let's make a small break. All right, let's continue. So if this thing exists, let me go through all of the key current. So we provide the key current, and if this thing was not consumed, we take it out. And in here, we probably have to take it out as well. So take, and just map this entire thing like that. X as U8 as character. There we go. So, yep. Let me see. Well, to be fair, if we don't know any of these characters, maybe we shouldn't take them per se. But maybe we should. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to tell if we have to take them or not. So it's gonna be key current. All right. So, and in here, hello Cozy White Bear. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. So maybe this one has to be take. Yeah, I guess it makes sense to make it as take. All right. This one is take. There we go. Key current, and in here I have to take it. And we don't need to do that. Key current. So this one is take it. That means in that mode you can, okay, that makes sense. Then yeah, here's the problem, you always take it. Alright, the problem here is that we should not take it if it's not handleable, if it's not one of those. So basically in here we need to put it back. Right, so we take it, we need to take a look at it, and then we need to put it back, and that's what makes it kind of meh. That's what makes it kind of meh, and that's what breaks everything as well. Fortunately, I don't know how to do that easily. So because I don't want to copy paste, like taking the key in each individual branch in here, so maybe in the default branch I'm gonna be putting it back in here or whatnot. So I'm not quite sure. But to be fair, we have this thing. Maybe I can put it back. Kiku. Well, it is a genius tune, to be fair. There is a reason why Russian government decided to reuse the same anthem but with different lyrics, because it's a pretty catchy anthem, not gonna lie. So does it have like something like put? There's insert, if I remember correctly, right? So there's insert. But yeah, maybe not. Alright, here's an idea. So you take it out, you check if it fits, but if it doesn't fit, we have to put it back. Yeah, that's gonna be the idea. So it's gonna be key current, some key. You see what we're doing here? Right, so we take this thing, check it, we didn't recognize it, we put it back for the rest of the code to handle it in case it wants to. Right, key current. The same thing is going to be here as well. So we check it, and in case if it didn't work, we're going to put it back. So it's going to be some key, key current. Right, so here we're check it if it's Q. Yeah, we're going to do that. Otherwise, maybe we want to put it back. Maybe not. So at the end, we want to consume it anyway. Right, at the end, we want to consume it anyway. Alright, so this one is a little bit weird and also error porn, but maybe we can come up with a good solution in the end. So I can press Q, nothing is happening, but I press Q. Okay, that's goddamn fucking perfect. Alright, so then I can try to edit this thing, and there we go. So here's the interesting thing. I'm not gonna render the cursor right now or anything like that. I'm gonna try to do the following thing. In the editor mode, right, in the editor mode, if you have a key, right, if you have a key, so we're going to do something like if key take, right, so it's going to be let some key, there we go, and if that key is ASCII, right, how can we check if it's ASCII? I suppose we can check if key maybe something like 3227 contains key, right? If this thing is contained in there, somebody just told me. Okay. Once, I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar with memes. Now, essentially, what we want to do, we want to take the buffer. And we want to push this thing as a new character. So can I really push a new character into a string? I think I should be able to. As a character, there we go. So that's pretty powerful. Unfortunately, enter, I think enter is considered to be, maybe not actually, maybe it's not, so it shouldn't be that. Yeah. So key, expected reference. All right, so what if I yeah, I need to dereference this thing. Can type i32 cannot be dereferenced. So let's call it key current. Right, so this is a key current, and I take it, then maybe it will finally work. Consider it borrowing here. Oh yeah, I just didn't expect that contains would take it as a reference. Okay, so that's why I couldn't properly process it. Okay, so now look. Wait a second. Let me get rid of the stuff we need to do. Now I select a particular item. I get into the editing mode, and okay, enter apparently is considered the ASCII, so maybe we need to exclude the stuff. So I suppose return is 10, isn't it? Well, yeah. Return is 10. How did it even consume it? Ah, because it didn't put it back. Okay. Edit field. Wait a second. Right. Otherwise, I want to put it back, so it's going to be key current, just put back. It has to be some. This entire paradigm of like, you know, taking and putting back, I don't think it works really well, but look, yeah, I can now at least append things into the current elements, and if I quit, it actually saves everything automatically. So, yeah. So, it kind of works, if you think about it. So, it's pretty cool. So we also need to render the cursor, I suppose. So let me see how we can do that. So first of all, I want to check if the cursor is within the range of the buffer, right? If the cursor is greater or equal than the buffer length, we can do the following thing. We're going to set the cursor to buffer length -1, but here's the problem. Buffer length could be equal to 0, right? So if it's equal to 0, what are we going to be doing? I don't know. And buffer len is greater than 0, only then we're going to be setting it to like -1 in here. All right, so the next thing we can do in here, we can just render this entire thing. But now we also need to find the specific character within that label and render that character with a different color to indicate the cursor, right? So we could probably reuse the cursor from the end curses, right? But I find it difficult to work with that cursor. It's easier to actually emulate the cursor yourself. At least that's my experience. So maybe you had a better experience, I don't know. So in here, maybe what we can do, we can actually render everything ourselves, if you know what I'm talking about. So here we have here we take the layout, right, and then we take a position, then we move to that position and we render the text, and then we add ourselves. Then we add ourselves. So maybe this is going to be literally the same thing, right? All right, let's give it a try. Let's actually like literally copy paste this thing. So this is going to be the layout. Trying to render edit field outside of any layout. This is a problem. Then we're moving to a particular position. We're using the regular pair though. Right, so this is going to be a regular pair. All right, then we're rendering the buffer, I suppose. Here's the buffer that we're rendering. And then we're adding the width, right? And we don't need to do this kind of stuff anymore. Now, so this one is essentially the field itself, right? Field itself. So, and we need to introduce the cursor, right? So now we need to render the cursor. So maybe in here, I'm going to be doing something like this. Though, honestly, we could have moved this kind of stuff somewhere here, because it's related to the field, right? Because we're updating the field itself. Maybe this one is going to be buffer. This is the buffer, and this is the cursor. So I'm going to be moving to the position Y, but in terms of position X, it's going to be essentially position X plus the cursor, right? And in here, we're going to simply enable the highlighted pair, right? So this is the highlighted pair. Then we're going to render the single character. So, and this is where we want to do the following thing. I'm going to try to get the cursor. I wonder if it's going to work or not. We'll see, we'll see. And then I'm gonna disable the highlighted pair. Okay. So let's go through the compilation errors and see how it's gonna work now. All right, move. Was it not move? It was MV. It was MV. So buffer length. So buffer is expected use size, but got. Wait, what? Why would you expect? Oh, this is because, okay, so that means I have to like do something like this, I suppose, right? And I also have to dereference this stuff. Expected I33. Okay, so maybe I can convert it to I32. Let me see. And here's the cursor. So if I do something like this, string indices are ranges of use size. Okay, so can I take only a single character? So I want to take a look at this string, or maybe string slice or str or something. So std str. So can I get some stuff in there? This is not particularly. Oh, this is the module. Oh my god, this is so confusing. All right. Documentation of Rust is really confusing. Okay, but I suppose you just get used to it over time, right? You just get used to it over time. So this is the boundaries. Well, I guess so. This thing should return like another slice, right? It should return another slice, and maybe this is what we want to do in here. So just cursor +1, right? So because I want to treat this entire thing as the, yeah, maybe we can do equal there, right? Expected found option, and this entire thing actually. Yeah, has an option. So maybe because of that, I'm gonna do it like this. If let some x, right? I'm not sure what the hell is gonna be here, right? And we're gonna use this x like that, and it's working. Okay, so I'm not sure how much of a code this, how good this code is, but maybe. Oh, you can even do it like that. That's perfect. So I only wanted to get like a one character, but as a string. So looks good to me, and it's also really safe. Am I right? Okay. So now if I go into the insert mode, you can clearly see the cursor. So yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I think it's pretty cool. So let me remove this kind of stuff, and I think when we go into the editor mode, right, when we enable editing, right, we enable editing equal to true, right, so this is where we do that. I think I need to set the cursor to the end, if you know what I mean, to the end of the current element, but I'm not sure how to properly do that, honestly. So maybe if we moved I to the place where we're handling all of that, if you know what I mean. So essentially, if you're not in the editing mode, but the current key that is pressed is I, you switch to the editing mode, and you set the cursor to the end of the current element because you have the current element in here. That is goddamn fucking cool. I think that's a pretty cool idea. So we can move this thing in here. Cool. Can I try to do that? So essentially, if let some key equal key current. So it's gonna be like that, and if might as well actually map this entire thing. So it's gonna be map x as u8 as character, and if this entire thing is equal to I, we're switching to the editor. All right. But on top of that, I'm also, the fuck was that? I'm also taking the current element and I'm setting the cursor to this thing, to the end, right? And because of this stuff, I don't need to do that stuff, and I'm setting this stuff to none because I consumed it. Right, I think I need to get rid of the take. I don't like the take because it makes it more difficult. Right, so I'm doing everything immediately. Okay, I know that the to-do is active right now. I'm iterating through all of the elements. If I found the currently selected element and I'm in the editing mode, I do as an editor. If I'm not in the editing mode, I don't render it as an editor. But if I pressed I have an access to the current element. So for me, it's a no-brainer to just take the length of that element and set it to the editing cursor. All right, so it's sort of like a decision tree. You're constantly like traversing the decision tree and you have all the necessary information immediately. All right, that's really cool. And as I consume this entire thing, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. The only problem with this code is that it goes against all the conventional wisdom. So that's the only problem with this code. Apart from that, it's actually fucking perfect. It works well, and yeah. Once you wrap your head around this concept of immediate UI, it's actually quite pleasant to work with. Almost like Rust. You just have to get used to it. It's not annoying. You just have to get used to it, okay? Right, so just give it some time and you will get used to it. So I'm gonna use the arguments of Rust community against them. Alright. So just need to get some time and you'll get used to it. Oh. Alright, so now if I run this entire thing, right, as you can see, the cursor is at the end of the editing, right? So it's at the end of the editing all the time. So here I cannot go into the editing mode, but in here I can actually, well, yeah, it depends at the end of it. To be fair, maybe we should allow the cursor to be sort of like bigger. Yeah, sort of like bigger. Am I in the wrong? Yeah, I'm in the wrong here. So I suppose I need to set it to actually len. Alright. And let me see. And it didn't work, surprisingly. Huh. Editing cursor. Did it actually rebuild everything? It should have actually rebuilt everything, but it didn't set anything. This is annoying. Oh, I know why. Because I'm a dummy. Cursor, yeah. So I think the cursor should be allowed to be one character further. I think the cursor should be allowed to be there. If it's greater, right, we can set it back to the len. And because of that, we don't even need to check this kind of stuff. There we go. That's fucking perfect, mate. So let's continue. So in here is this stuff. I suppose one thing we can do in here is just put it like that and get or else, right? Is it get or else or something else? I don't remember. So this is going to be option. Get or insert. Wait, what? Is that really option? I don't recognize this option. What the hell? Is it or else? I think it's or else. Default. Maybe it's a default RS? Wait. Is it unwrap or else? Unwrap or else. Oh my god. Unwrap or. Okay. Jesus Christ. Unwrap or. And it's gonna be just, you know, empty thing. There we go. So something like this. So if the cursor overflows, it's gonna be just like, you know, space in there. Let's see how it goes. And Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, it's at the end of this thing, and yeah. So now what I want to do, essentially, I don't want to insert at the end. I want to insert at the current cursor. That's what I want to do. And because of that, this entire thing could be extremely annoying, because the buffer is a string. As far as I know, in a string you cannot just like insert things, can you? Right, because it's like UTF encoded and it's like really annoying. I think I remember that one. Yes. Can you just insert something in? Okay, you can insert str. Okay, so all right. So that's pretty cool. This is an operation. It requires copying every element in the buffer. All right, that's fine. So I suppose it's gonna re-encode everything appropriately, and the index is. Its index is larger, so I think we can work with that. Can I remove a particular thing in here, so we can remove a particular index? All right, I think we can work with that. Specifically, we can insert a character. Yeah, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Into the string. So O of n is actually acceptable in this particular situation because we're dealing with a very small n, right? We're dealing with a very small n. So because it's like a string that the user edits. A user is not going to edit like, you know, millions of characters in a single edit field, right? So it's not a thing that we have to worry about. Unless you're making an actual text editor, but we're not making an actual text editor. All right. So let me try to do it like that. So this is a key. And if the key was properly handled, maybe I'm gonna actually keep it like that, I'm not sure. Alright, so instead of pushing, I need to check where the cursor is at. If the cursor is greater or equal to the buffer len, if it's greater or equal to the buffer len, we're going to be just pushing the character at the end of the buffer. Otherwise, I think we need to insert it. So insert the character into at the byte position. So effectively, yeah, that's precisely what we want. But on top of that, like, we also want to increment the cursor, don't we? I think we want to increment it in both of the situations. So it's going to be cursor plus 1. And in here, we're going to be doing insert key as u8 as character and just increment the cursor. So yeah, first you have to provide the index, and the index is literally the cursor, and then we're incrementing it. Okay, that's basically what we want to have in here, right? Basically. All right, it still compiles, and now if I enter this thing, I still can append things. But now here's the cool part. If I set the cursor not at the end, right? So cursor equal, right? You see, as we enter the editor mode, we set it to the end. What if I set it to 0, right? So is it gonna work properly? Right now we cannot control the thing, but we're gonna be able to do that soon. Okay, so I can insert at the cursor position. So that's pretty cool. Yep, I think that's pretty cool. All right. So the only thing that is left, we need to be able to control the cursor, right? So we need to be able to control the cursor. How are we going to do that? That's a very good question. So I think we need to be able to handle like arrows, but I think to handle the arrows, this one is going to be very interesting. Because if I press the arrow, right, so arrows are not even handled in any way. So let me go somewhere here. So I'm taking it in here, so I can try to do something like this. If let some key current, right, so key current, and I'm gonna go to the to-dos, and I'm gonna push the key here, right, so it's gonna be something like that. Key, and do I need to put it like that? No, probably not. Okay, let me try to run it, and All right, so we press down, yeah. So this is a very special key that actually generates a sequence of keys, right? So it also, first key is 27, which is an escape sequence, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of annoying. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. So the thing is, maybe we need to enable the keypad. So it's going to be in curses, keypad. So maybe I'm gonna actually go to crates and find in curses because I want to find documentation. I want to find documentation of our nation. Oh, where's the documentation? Where's the documentation? Okay, so maybe I can just do something like locally. Cargo docs open. Doc, single one. Could have actually supported both of them. There's no reason to not support both of these things and having them as an aliases. But I mean, Rust needs to be annoying. If it's not annoying, what's the point? Am I right? So this is in curses. So I want you to take a look at the keypad. Right, so this is a keypad, and okay. Keypad std skr, and this one is going to be true, right? Oh, this is not data line actually. I want to rebuild. All right, so it seems to be working, and I think I need to clean up my to-do. All right, so excuse me. All right. Okay. So now if I press down, it's a single key in here. Okay, that's perfect. That's a single key in here. But does it preserve the ASCII stuff? Yeah, it does preserve the ASCII stuff. That's perfect. But on top of that, we can also try to handle the arrows and whatnot. That's actually pretty cool. Right, let's also handle the arrows. So this one is going to be edit field. Right, it's going to be edit field. So if it's that, we put it back. And in here, we handle the cursor first, and then if let some key current take. So is there something like left cursor? Okay, this one is interesting. It's a termion. Nah, it's not what I want. Key left. Okay, so it's in cursor's constants. 104. So if I take a look at the decimal representation of these things, it's 260, and that's precisely what we saw in there. Left key, but left. Yes. Right. No, there's no right in here. Okay. So I just actually imported the entire in curses. Match key. Right, and if this thing is a constant key left, right, so we're gonna do one thing. I suppose if cursor is greater than 0, I'm just decrementing the cursor, right, by 1. So then constants key right, key right. If cursor is less than buffer length, then we are incrementing the cursor by 1. There we go, and that should be it. So, and if none of these things are recognized, I actually put the key back. Right, so it's going to be key current, some key. Right, so I took the key, I check the key. Okay, this is not the key that I recognize. I put it back. So, because then later somebody else can handle it. That's the idea in here. So I definitely need to come up with a better like paradigm of handling this kind of situation. Taking key, checking it, and if it's not the key I care about, put it back. Maybe we can come up with some sort of like functions that makes it easier. We'll see. We'll see. Compiles first try, by the way. What's interesting is that every time I find Rust annoying, I'm not even fighting with the borrow checker. I don't remember when was the last time that borrow checker annoyed me. Borrow checker is not the most annoying part of the language. It's like these small little things that are overlooked by the designers of the language, and it's just like a lot of them. And it's just like a death by the thousand of paper cuts. Hello RDB42, welcome. How much time you spent on coding daily? I don't count, I'm sorry. I have zero statistics on that. Alright. Okay, so let me see. So now we should be able to control the keys, right? So, and yeah, everything seems to be okay. Alright. Tell me that this is not a God Cooder moment. Well, I mean, we have to remove this shit, but I mean, it works. So, yeah, that's very cool. Like, that's actually pretty straightforward. Holy shit! I can remove some. Can I remove some? Why can't I remove? Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I need to move them here, and then you can remove them into the abyss. Right to do app in Rust. Right, and you can modify this kind of shit now. You can't remove the characters though, but we can easily implement that. The most problem in Rust is no default traits. Well, this is one of the small annoying things that I'm talking about. Like, it's only one of them. But as you try to apply Rust in different situations, in more different areas and stuff like that, you discover more and more of these small annoying things, and they pile up. So the annoyance of the Rust doesn't come from the place where Rust people claim it coming from. It's not coming from the borrow checker. It's not coming from lifetimes. No, it's actually pretty cool thing. It's just like the whole language is just like there's a lot of overlooked things that are, and I don't know. It's really annoying. Okay. The only thing in Rust that is more important than safe code is knowing the person that writes it. Yeah. And those annoying things have nothing to do with safety whatsoever. Like, yeah, it's just like, holy shit. It's like a pile of features that are thrown together without any consideration how these features fit together. Alright. So, let's continue. Alright. But remember, guys, you just have to get used to it, and then it's just like anyway. I'm just thinking, what I forgot to do actually? What I forgot to Oh yeah, I want you to delete this stuff. So do I have a delete key in here? And cursors delete in. Okay, so let me see how I can approach this entire thing. So if let some key, key current, right? So this is the key current, and to do push format. Right, this is gonna be that stuff, and key. All right, there we go. All right. So if I press delete, really? Wait a second. Okay. So apparently, Okay, just a second. I need to move this thing probably somewhere here because I want to see what delete looks like. Wait, what? This is really confusing. Hmm. 130. But why don't we have a key for that in Ncurses? Can I take a look at the source code of Ncurses, like target? Probably not. Right, so is there any place where I can take a look at this stuff? So registry, src, GitHub, and okay, that's perfect actually. That's pretty cool that I can look into this kind of stuff. So constants, and we have a shit ton of key constants, right? So here they are. And there's not a single delete. Yeah, nice one. Not a single delete. And the last character in here, some sort of a key event. So if I take a look at the 330 in hex, right, it was 330. Do we have 14a? It's DC, okay. All right. Thank you so much. That's very... Why didn't you just call it delete? Come on. Ncurses. Ncurses do be like that sometimes. All right. So constants delete. Right. So it's constants key delete DC. Almost forgot. Right. It has to be DC. To be fair, we might actually move this entire stuff in here because why not? Though we can try to do it like that. So match key, right, so this is gonna be that. And I'm pretty sure I can match the range in here, right? And as we match this range, that's what we're trying to do in here, right? Where's my shit? I lost my shit. Here it is. I want to comment it out. Switch match key. So this is that, and then in case of the left-right cursor, we're doing this kind of stuff, right? And can you just go in here? And the last one I want to handle is the delete, right? So we're trying to do in here, we're trying to delete the characters somewhere at the cursor specifically, right? So let's go over delete, remove. So removes the character and it panics if the index is larger than. All right. So if cursor is less than buffer len, the buffer remove the cursor. There we go. So now we should be able to handle this kind of shit. Cool. So if it's ASCII stuff, we just put it there. I mean, if it's printable stuff, left, right, move the cursor, delete the character at the current cursor, and that's pretty much it, I suppose. So here we don't really need to handle anything anymore. So the cursor could be, yeah, I think it's too much. So let's actually keep it like that. Buffer, and then we just render in the cursor. Okay. All right. So for more uniform, so okay. Exclusive arrange is experimental. Do I have to do it like this? Wait. Why this would be experimental, but this would be not? What makes this so special? Like, excuse me? Not annoying at all, by the way, speaking of. What? Okay, sure. It's gonna be fixed in the next nightly. Sure, buddy. The whole thing should, yeah, I feel like I'm an experiment. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Every time I program an S, I feel like I'm an experiment. All right. All right, so this looks fine. So let me double check if the range is correct in here. 26, okay, so delete is not printable. Oh, by the way, lost algorithm, hello, welcome to the stream. Okay, so let's give it a try. Let's stop beating around the mid and test it out. Got you hyper. Yeah, so I forgot to remove the logging. Don't beat. Stop beating around the meat. Stop beating the meat. Okay. Alright, so now... Alright, can I delete the characters now? I can. I can delete the... I cannot backspace them, but I can delete shit. That's perfect. Okay, bye-bye RGB42. See you around. That's pretty pogue, not gonna lie. So how can we handle the backspace? Backspace. So there is a DC, I suppose, key DC, delete character key, insert character key, delete line key. So maybe it's delete but back delete, shifted and delete line key. Okay, so let's enable the debug output and see what key is that. Okay, it's 263, 263, and in hex it's 107, 107, and it's it's literally backspace. Goddamn curses debated me. Well, because I thought that since delete is not called delete in curses, I thought that backspace is also not called backspace, but it's called backspace in curses. Goddamn curses. Okay, so literally debated me. So constants key backspace. All right. So what do we have in here? How can I do that? We have remove. I suppose I just have to write. If the cursor is greater than 0, what I do cursor -1, and then I delete the current character. Right? Buffer remove cursor. But it only makes sense if this entire thing like sort of available, right? Because at some point, if yeah, just in case, I think it makes sense to check that. All right, so so and now, okay, it works. I can do that, and delete also works. Backspace also works, and yeah, that's pretty cool. So, and let's remove the debug output, right? So, because it kind of ruins everything. And of course, we need to get rid of that. Yep. By widebread to do app, web app, right? So, and as you can see, we can do this kind of stuff. Make a cup of tea, and then instead of tea, we can say make a cup of coffee. And so on and so forth. So honestly, there is a problem in here, in my opinion, that, right, the prefix sort of disappears, and it's kind of annoying. So maybe we should make the prefix sort of independent from the element itself, because the prefix is actually rendered. Let me show you, like this. So if we create, if we create like sort of a separate layout in here, for each individual thing we can create a separate layout. All right, so UI begin layout, and the layout is going to be layout kind. Ooh, it's going to actually ruin everything, I think. All right, so begin layout is going to be that, and it's going to be horizontal layout, right? So this is the horizontal layout for each individual element, and then we end this layout in here and layout. All right, so and what I do in here is UI label. Label, another one. It's gonna be something like that. Fn, something like this. Self is not needed, but the text is gonna be something like this. And the pair is greatly depends. That's my opinion on the situation. This is actually kind of complex situation, so maybe. Yeah, I'll need to think about it more. So maybe we need to have a better layouting system that allows fixed elements and also stretched elements and so on and so forth. Yeah, this requires like a little bit of thinking. Right. So, but apart from that, okay, so something went wrong. I don't know. Oh, unbalanced shit. Yeah, I forgot to remove this thing. Okay. So, all right, but the problem with the editor is that it doesn't scroll at all, right? So, for instance, if you have a very long thing, right, so you cannot see what you're editing in there, right? And especially if you go to the right, you actually went over the view, and it would be nice if this entire thing scrolled somehow, right? So, but it doesn't scroll right now at all. So I'm gonna create a separate to-do for this entire thing. So edit field, okay. UI edit field does not scroll according to the cursor, right? So it doesn't scroll according to the cursor. And another similar thing in here, right? If you have a lot of elements in the list, all right, so let's actually generate shit ton of elements in here, super quick. Right, as you can see, you're generating shit ton of elements, and they start rendering in a really weird fashion, which doesn't make any sense. So this is something that also needs to be fixed. Right. So let's put it like this. The item lists don't handle the amount of items bigger than this screen. Okay, the item listings don't have a scroll area of some sort, right? You know what I mean? Some sort of a scroll area. This is going to be a separate to do in here, so we'll see how we can solve all of that. Cyberdyne, yeah, thank you so much for 4 months of Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you, and welcome to our epic Rust Club. How about that? Yo. Okay, so I really like that. Yo, hypers. Implement UI edit field. There we go, and I'm going to push that right into the repo. So let's actually add support for edit field to done list as well, right? Because I think that's quite important. Yet again, we're gonna have a similar situation, right? So if you are, yeah, I need to copy paste this code now. So you are in highlight mode, and if index is the current element, right? If it's a current element, and you are in the editing mode, you need to implement the editing mode. Otherwise, you're not in the editing mode, you're just showing the currently selected thing. And we can simply copy paste. Where is my display line? Yeah, there we go. So it's gonna be something like this. So, and this one is gonna be just basically highlighted pair. All right. And now in here it's the same thing, but with a regular pair, right? Regular pair. And if it's editing time, we need to call to the edit field, right? We need to call to the edit field, and also remove all of that stuff. So editing cursor, so current key current, we're handling that, and then we're disabling all of this. All right, so that's pretty cool. But it also means that when we press I, yeah, so there's a lot of duplications between these two panels, and that's exactly what I want to see. That's precisely what I want to see, because it reveals interesting patterns. That reveals interesting patterns that we can compress later. Somehow. We'll see how. To do, okay, this is actually pretty cool. This is done length. And yeah, so this one is more of a mutable now, right? This thing is mutable. Perfect. And I guess that's it. Okay, so if I try to now edit something in here, it works. So, yep, let's remove the debug output. It's not needed anymore. And if I run it like this, yep. Just a second, I need to get rid of this thing. Yep. Can edit that. I can edit that, then I can exit, and it's still gonna be there. So as you can see, I can also move things around and stuff like that. This is actually pretty cool. So then I can say that this one is done, but then I found the typo, so this is gonna be that. All right, so that looks good. So yeah, I think we implemented it. We implemented actually the editing of the elements. You can control that now. So we have a lot of things that are not properly documented yet. Like for instance, when you press G, small g and big G, it actually jumps to the end or beginning of the list. I don't know why we don't have that documented. So maybe I should actually document that, but in any case, let's do a committee of what we have right now. Okay. Allow editing of the done panel, editing items of the done panel, and I'm gonna push that right at the repo. Hello, Obscuriosity. Nice nickname. All right. So I think I need to document that. Right, so it's gonna be KBD. KBD. So what does G does? G and KBD BJ. Jump to the beginning. To the start end of the item of the current item list. So that's basically what we have in here. KJ, move cursor up and down. Shift K, drag things around, up and down. Delete the current element. Q. So interestingly, I suppose if we sort of like following the Vim conventions, right? To edit something, you want to do actually R. Yeah, I think it has to be R, right? Because in Vim, right, R means replacing a character, right? Because I want to actually use I for inserting a new item, right? Essentially, when I press I want to create a new item and go into the editing mode of that specific item. All right, so let me go super quick. So where is I? All right, so this is going to be R, and this is also going to be R. So if I do something like this, I press R, this is going to be that. Okay, that's cool. So, and that means in readme, we're gonna have something like this. Could use O to add a new item below and O to add new item above. Wait a second. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. I actually use O quite often when I use Vim. It's just like it's part of my reflexes, so I didn't realize that I use O. Okay, so that sounds like a pretty good idea then. In that case, maybe we can use I. We can use I, and I is going to be actually setting the index at the beginning, and A will set the index at the cursor at the end. So that would be actually kind of interesting. So I, yeah. So that means we'll have to do something like sends you to replace mode, and R just replaces one character. I know that. Thank you very much. So what do we have here? So I need to do something like okay. Rename the current item. Alright, so use R instead of I to edit the items. I'm gonna push that right there. Alright, so what do we have here to do? So there's a lot of like to-dos that are not actual to-dos. You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of annoying. Maybe I should actually use fix me instead of to-do for this project. We'll see how it goes. Alright. Fake to-dos. False positives. implement editing of the items, of the list items, and it's gonna be for implement editing of the most items, not only least items, but the most items. Oh, I'm so sorry. Anyway, now let me try to do clipping and see what's going on in there. Okay, all good. What about FMT? FMT fixed some stuff. Fix cargo FMT remarks. It's gonna push that. I like this song. It's pretty cool. It's pretty chill. So let's actually snitch up those things. So it's gonna be snitch, report, prepend, body introduced in 25. All right. Make a one day I'm gonna fucking actually report this as a to-do. Okay. Buy bread. Imagine like having that in the issue tracker. Alright. So, edit field is not scroll. Yeah. So this is something that needs to be done. This is another fake to do. Another fake to do. The item lists don't have a scroll area. Alright. So, let me push that right into the repo. And ironically, your mom's issue tracker. Oh! Nice. Very funny. Okay, Gam. So we had a huge switch case. Now it's smeared across the entire code. Using GitHub as a grocery list. Yes. That's a 5-head move. That's a 5-head move for sure. Alright, so I'm just waiting for the continuous integration, and after it's done, I think I want to quickly implement adding a new element. Because it should be essentially you insert a new empty list into the item and instantly go into the edit mode. And that's literally it. That's how simple it's gonna be. I really love it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Come on, GitHub, you can do that. I believe in you. I believe in you, GitHub. Yo. Clippy is mining Bitcoin, that's why it takes so long. True. Truly true. Okay, so that's fine. We can finally merge this entire thing. And delete the branch. Perfect. Let's fetch this thing. Right, so let's see. So the issue, add new items to do. So the issue number is 2. All right. So what we're gonna use for this thing? We're gonna use rename the current item, insert a new item. All right, so I'm gonna go to the src and let's find. Okay, so here is, oh my god, it's actually formatted it so badly. Oh my god. The hell is this? Really? Okay, so it actually moved this thing on the next line, but in here it actually moved it here. Is that because it actually overflew like a... Yeah, 100. Okay, cool. Nice. Just give me some time. I need to catch my breath after a shock. So it's just like I'm just gathering my thoughts. What do I want to do? All right. So we're currently in a to-do, right? So we are iterating. We found the current item, and if while being with the current item we're in editing mode, we just redirect everything to the editing mode. Otherwise, we're just displaying the element highlighted, but if the R was pressed, we are switching to the editing mode, and now we need to handle I, essentially, right? So it could be something like if some I key current x as u8 as character, right? So, and essentially what I want to do, I want to do to-dos vector rust std. Insert. So inserts the vector shifting all elements after. So because I want to insert this thing, yeah, let's actually insert it at the current position. So we're gonna insert a new string, simply just inserting a new string. Then I'm setting editing cursor to 0 and editing to true, and just consuming the current key. Believe it or not, that is entire implementation of inserting a new element. You literally insert a new element into the vector and switching to the editing mode. This is absolutely beautiful. This approach just makes it so much easier to just pile things on top of the code. Right, so let me see. So it's gonna be cargo run. And it doesn't compile. I'm so happy about it. Okay, so let's properly build this entire thing, and I think now it should compile, right? I think that Rust is hard. I'll stick to Go. Yeah, to be fair, Go, I like Go better than Rust, not gonna lie. I recently programmed in Go, and it was actually quite pleasant. To this current. The viewership dropped like half of the people instantly left the stream. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck did you just say? Alright, so to-dos, the local variable with a similar to-do current. Okay. Cannot borrow to-dos as immutable more than once at a time. Shit. I think that means we have to actually do that like outside. Oh yeah, that makes sense actually, believe it or not. Because we're controlling the whole list, not the specific element. Yeah. So the thing I learned about streaming and content on the internet in general, you can't create a career as the creator of programming content. It is not a thing. Programming content on the internet is not a thing. You can make a career as the Rust content creator, or Go content creator, or JavaScript content creator, but never program. Nobody gives a shit about programming. Literally nobody. People want to rat hole about specific languages, about their favorite languages. It's amazing. Willington WA, thank you so much for 2 months of Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to our epic Rust Club. Yes, we're a Rust Club. We're making content on Rust. Oh, thank you so much. The 2-time champion. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so what I want to do, I want to do to-dos insert to-do current. So string new. There we go. And after that I do editing cursor 0. Then we go into the editing. true, and I guess that's it. All right. Are you guys ready? Now I'm about, with this finger, press I. Are you ready? Okay. What can I say? Your mom is on to-do list. Your mom is on to-do list today. Anyway, I can drag it around and then I can say that your mom is done. Oh! No, not done yet. Anyway, so. Okay, so as you can see, it's as easy as that. Yeah, right, so you can just insert a new thing, and there we go. Here's this stuff, and then it goes in here, and then you can delete it. Okay. Why I can't... Oh, yeah, you can't do... yeah, you can't delete this thing because it needs to be moved into done, and only then you can remove it. Alright, so maybe we should print something when you add a new element. So we can do something like this: notification, push str, more things to do. Right, I don't know, is that a good notification? I don't know. Right, essentially, yeah, more things. Oh, I have an idea. What needs to be done? Right, and it's gonna be a question. Right, so that's actually pretty cool. Right, you want to insert a new thing. What needs to be done? Right, and then you start typing. Buy milk. Right, so this one is done, and then we'll remove this thing. And the milk has been bought, and yeah, pretty cool. So, so in the entire implementation of adding new element is just this, literally. Yeah, it's just that simple. I absolutely love it. You can't insert elements into the done list though, right? So first you have to insert an element into do, finish it, and then from done you can delete it, right? And vice versa, you cannot delete elements from to do, right? Okay, I have an idea actually. When you try to delete an element while being in done or in to do, we can print something like notification push str can't remove items from to do, mark it as done first. Is that a good, maybe it's too long, but I'm not sure. Well, we'll see. Right, you try to delete it, can't remove items from to do, mark it as done first. Okay, so, and then, yeah. Okay, nice. Insert a new element. Alright, so I'm gonna actually commit this kind of stuff separately. And let's do a committee. It's gonna be 2. Implement inserting a new item. Alright. Then warn about deleting from to-do list. Can you mark? Yeah, you can. Look. Yeah, you can. You can move them around. Yep. But you cannot insert. Oh, I think because of that, it would make sense to actually warn about the done list as well. Right, so in a done list, if you try to insert something, right, we're gonna say something like notification push str. Deep Singularity, hi. Can't insert new done items. Insert them in only to do is allowed. Something like that. I don't know. So it's just like, it's a test. It's not supposed to be convenient, right? So can't insert new done items, only to do is allowed. Okay, so we can insert this thing, and then you can't remove from these things. You have to first mark it as done, and only then you can move it into a piece. Okay, so if I move everything here, and then done, and there we go, and then we can remove all of that. We have a raid from Marco Bruno Dev with 152 browser tabs. Thank you so much for opening so many browser tabs and raiding me. I really appreciate it. I hope your computer is fine after so many browser tabs. So what we're doing today, we're developing a to-do app in Rust. You can find the source code in the description. All right. Oh, you guys from Brazil. Hello. Hello. Brazilian friends. Hello from Russia. How much RAM do you need for that? A lot. Okay, so the to-do app looks like this. Right, so it's written in Rust and it uses incurses, and you can switch between two tabs. You have two tabs, done, to do, and done. And if you're done with a particular item, you can just mark it as done. If you realize that you're not done with it yet, you can mark it back. And you can edit the current items, right? For instance, you have to make cup of tea. One of them must be make a coffee, right? And you can drag the items around. You can reorder them however you want, right? And then if you're done, right, you can delete the items from done into Abyss, sort of like completely remote, because this is sort of like intermediate archive. And if you need to do a new thing, right, something like rewrite in Go, you can edit. So that's pretty convenient. And all of that, excluding third-party dependencies, is actually almost 600 lines of code, and we're not using any frameworks except incurses. And in incurses, we only use capabilities of move the cursor to X, Y, and place those characters in there. So all of the user interaction, all of this kind of stuff is actually hand-coded. Right, we didn't use any special frameworks or anything like that. All of that is literally hand-coded, including editing and moving around the cursor and stuff. All of that is hand-coded. 600 lines of code. It's designed to be as small as possible. Actually, it's designed to be as simple as possible. We're not trying to do more than actually needed to perform this entire thing. So I don't know. That's what we're doing. All right, so and we're almost done. I need to make a pull request. Add a warning about adding items to done list. How big is the binary right now? I don't know. I didn't count. But for this kind of applications, I don't think it matters that much. All right. So and let me push that right into the repo. Okay, so let's make a pull request. Let's make a pull request. Okay. Maybe there should be also some sort of like a help mode that shows all of the current key bindings and whatnot. With immediate UI, it's actually super easy to implement. Yeah, it is in fact super easy to implement. You introduce another boolean, and at the top of the iteration, if the help mode is enabled, you render a completely different thing, right? So we can even move the main application into a separate function, and then the help renderer is going to be another function as well. So yeah, so there's a lot of you know, room for refactoring in here. All right, so I'm gonna close this entire thing. I don't think I introduced any new to-dos, hopefully. So we only have fake to-dos. Yeah, we only have fake to-dos. All right. So maybe I should also do a Clippy test. All right, so something like Clippy. Right, and also FMT. All right, so in FMT, It's going to be 2. Fix cargo FMT remarks. There we go. Let's push that right at the repo. All right, what else do we have in here? Okay, so it complains a little bit because of the formatting, of course. So keep track of the date. Undo system would be rather interesting. So, and as I already mentioned, I think we need to have something like help page with key binding descriptions. So I'm gonna assign it to myself, and there we go. All right, so that's pretty cool. But unfortunately, boys and girls, it is time for me to go. Thanks everyone who's watching me right now. I really appreciate it. Have a good one, and I see you next time. I don't know when, I don't know where, but it is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. Check out the project that we were working on. Check out the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And let's maybe rate somebody. We were rated by so many browser tabs, so maybe we should also rate somebody back to back. How about that? So who should we rate? Who should we rate? Is anyone doing anything epic on the science and technology section of Twitch? Let me see. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. So is anyone doing epic Rust development? So C++20 game development with OpenGL. Sounds interesting.
That should start screaming pretty quick.
Okay, they even have a mic and explaining stuff, so that's an insta raid. C++69 when? I'm so funny, my god. Raid. All right. We've heard for the raid, boys and girls, and I see you all next time. Love you all.